Something else that I want to touch on before I get started with this video is the fact that I've consistently told Black people over the years that, hey, stop sending your kids to these all Caucasian schools and expect for things to go right. Right. I understand the fact that, hey, I don't want my kids in the public schools. I don't want them with, all the other kids and, being around certain other things. Let me make y'all understand something very clear for a lot of those Black people, because I've been through both schools. If you send them to public school, yeah, they're going to see certain things might happen, but 9 times out of 10, your child is going to be okay. We're not dealing with the 80s and the 90s at this moment in time. Your child, 9 times out of 10, they will be completely fine and dandy, especially as long as that you're in their life, and that you are doing, the best that you can, and that you also have other positive influences right there to make sure that they steer clear of a lot of things. And then number two, whatever you think that you're keeping them from by taking them from a public school around their own people, and you think that you're going to put them around other people and it's going to be completely different, let me let you know something. It's going to be upgraded stuff. So if you're afraid of your kids seeing types of narcotics, they're going to be upgraded narcotics that are going to be at those schools. If you're afraid of your kids, basically, having, alcoholic beverages at a very young age, right? Because of stories or what you've been through in public schools. Let me just let you know they're going to have that at those private schools. They're just going to be private parties in rich homes where the parents just don't care, right? It's going to be actually way worse. Just to let you know. And then on top of that, right, the other thing that's going to sit up there and take place is due to the fact that you have them around Josh and Sarah, right? He's going to consider them more of friends than, let's say, a Tyrone or a Dre or something like that, right? He's going to look at Tyrone and Dre like, nah, I don't, I don't really get down, with the rap, with the, hip hop. I don't, really, I don't understand those, the vulgarity, of those artists. It's not really, music. I'm more of a country, type of fan. I'm more of a rock, classic, different music, classic 50s, Beach Boys, different stuff like that, the Beatles, actual good music where people actually use the English language, right? That's how they'll start to talk, right? And then within that, they'll have that same logic of, I don't see color, I don't see this, I don't see that. None of this doesn't exist because all of my friends are white. They're fine with me. I'm fine with them. So what's all this racism that people are talking about? Right. Like I said, Black people, a lot of this would stop happening if A, if we would just create our own schools, or B, if Black people would just start homeschooling. But I know B is not really going to happen because a lot of people talk the talk, but they're not really really willing to put in the work and the due diligence in order to do what needs to be done. They're not ready to actually make those sacrifices. A lot of Black people are very great and beautiful at talking, but when it comes to actually doing what it is that needs to be done, yeah, Black people are lacking on that. So, like I said before, if Black people, if you don't want your kids going through this, you know exactly what it is that you need to do and stop making excuses. New intro. So much love and appreciation to those of you who have been with me for the 2 year period plus that I've been doing this. Thank you for showing your love and support to the channel. And to anybody else who is brand new to the platform and you would like to support the channel, also you can do it by way of Patreon, Anchor, the clothing store, and also the shoe shop that is listed in the comment description below. And again, thank you to any and all of you guys who have been here to support this channel during the 2+ year period. I wouldn't be able to do what I do every single day without you. A 15-year-old Caucasian student at Vanderbilt Catholic High School in Louisiana has been charged with an H crime and arrested after tossing cotton balls at a black student and then hitting him with a belt. Video of the incident shows the Caucasian freshman attacking the black student on March 9th after approaching him from behind in the cafeteria. After the Caucasian student threw cotton balls at the black student and repeatedly hit him over the head with a belt, the boy who was targeted grabbed the assailant and pushed him backwards through a nearby door. According to People, the Caucasian student was booked into the Terrebonne Parish Juvenile Justice Center after being charged with simple battery and an H crime. Quote, we will continue to pray for our school community as a whole, that we not only get through this together, but that we each will learn a valuable lesson from what has taken place. In a statement on Facebook, the Terrebonne Parish Sheriff's Office stated that the incident does seem to be racially motivated. Quote, TPSO detectives met with the parents of the victim and an investigation is being conducted. The parents of the victim also met with the school's administration and they are diligently assisting the parents with addressing this non acceptable episode. The teen who was targeted is one of a few black students at this high school. All right. I saw the video, and yes, the incident that took place deserved to be called an H crime. It does, due to the fact, of course, cotton is associated through history when it comes to the United States through slavery. Whenever you look at books, you will see pictures of black people who are slaves on plantations picking cotton. And usually, what would take place when the job is not getting done fast enough, or they want them to pick at a faster rate, they'll pull out a whip and they will decide to start hitting the slaves, right? Trying to force them to move at a quicker pace that they want them so that they can meet whatever numbers that they need to meet for that day or that week. And that's in a sense what the Caucasian student was simulating, right? He was basically stating that he is the master and that this black student is basically his slave and that your whole job is to pick cotton. Now he started throwing the cotton balls. He pulled out, quote unquote, his whip, which is his belt, and he was basically trying to tell the child to start picking up that cotton, right? And he was doing that in front of all of the rest of his friends, right? And associates. Even at one point, one of the other Caucasian kids, he got up in laughter and just in a sense left the table. Notice how none of the Caucasian students, nowhere in the video, when you go look at the video, look at how none of them stood up for that black student, right? Now, some people will sit up there and say, like, oh, why would you expect him to stand up for the black student? Well, I'm going off of the American logic, right? Which is we don't see color. Everybody's equal. Everybody's God's children. And there's no such thing as racism, bigotry, and discrimination. This just doesn't happen. This is just solely a narrative that black people make up and keep going back to because they want to reflect on the past. They want to go back to the hardships of the past. Was your family a slave? Do you know anybody that was a slave? Were you on a plantation? Do you know anybody that was a slave master who owned slaves? I don't, and I know you don't. So what are we talking about here? Right? That's usually um the type of nonsense that you hear from other white people, aka true Americans, pagans, European descendants, people who like the Columbus things. And then that's what you like to hear from biracial black people. And yes, I did say two things at the same time, biracial and black people, because you have a lot of these individuals who are confused. They don't know exactly where they belong. This is why they either just consider themselves biracial or mixed, just to sit up there and get everything pretty much said and done. But usually, when you have those individuals who are from two different separate parties, black and white, come together, make them, they like to say, oh, I don't see color, I don't see this racism, and so on and so on and so on. You also have individuals who also come from, who are also in interracial relationships. They speak the exact same rhetoric due to the fact that our situation works, so obviously racism doesn't exist. Clearly racism does, because like I said before, if you have a black child, put him in an all-white school and look at him for 4 years or 10 years and ask him what were his experiences when he went through those schools. What were the microaggressions? What were some of the jokes that people play? What were some of the things people did? Because I can promise you, because I went through Baptist, Catholic, Christian private schools, and I can sit up there and tell you that those white kids will sit up there and do some things. They'll think they slick, they think they can slide by and all this other type of stuff. But like I said, they'll do things. They will do things and they will sit up there and say things, and you will have other people that will enable them, including the teachers and the staff and also other students. And then on top of them being enabled through all three of those routes, you also have the parents. Where do you think that that kid learned that from? He didn't just, pop on like a slave film, like, oh, okay, this is how I sit up there and treat, the black students at my school. Let me get my belt, let me get some cotton, and let's just call it a day. No, he learned that this is acceptable by way of his own community, by way of his parents, by way of his families. Like I said, these are things that were never corrected. And like I said before, these are the exact same kids. All of those kids that you see that didn't stand up for those that black student, those are the same kids that get on computer games, that get on PSN, Xbox, whatever it is on social media, and they'll start throwing out racial slurs all the time. And they'll sit up there and say, "Oh, I can sit up there and say it because my black friend, he doesn't mind." That's the main scapegoat. That's the main go-to for everybody that's not black that wants to sit up there and say things black people normally say, and they know it's wrong, and they don't have anything else to justify it, but sit up there and say, "Oh, well, I got black friends that's okay with it." Just because you got black friends that's okay with it stupidly doesn't mean that it's acceptable or that it is okay for you to sit up there and do. Like I said before, you have a lot of black enablers that are out here as well that enable other ethnicities to do things that they necessarily would not sit up here and do. Case in point, let's just go by it this way, right? In New York, you have a variety of communities there that are enabled by black people to sit up there and say a certain word, right? That is only said by black people. My main thing is, right? I already know why they want to say it, because it's cool, because it's acceptable, because black people made it that way, right? My main thing is I would love for somebody to actually go out on social media and do a video and ask all of these cultures that love rap and that love to say this word, why don't you use the derogatory words and terms that have been used against you for years? Why don't you try to flip those and make that into something acceptable and allow other people to use it? They're going to look at you like you're crazy. Why would I do that? Right? Those are words that were used against my parents. I'm not going to disrespect my culture or my parents in that way. So if you're not going to do that to your culture, you're not going to do that to your parents, you're not going to do that to yourself, then why would you want to then use a word that was specifically used against another group of people for hundreds of years just for your own benefit? Because you think it's cool, you think you're in, you think that you have, black friends that are accepting of you. Why would you then want to disrespect them and their culture just to sit up there and take part in that word? But like I said, black people ain't gonna really ask people that, because black people are too accepting. Black people don't want to make people, angry, and a variety of different things, of that nature. Like I said, it's ridiculous that black people keep turning the other cheek on so many things, when all of these other groups of people would never turn the same cheek for you. 98 times. They would never do that. They would never do that. They would barely even do it half, half of one. They would barely sit up there and do it. But yet, you got black people, the most welcoming, the most accepting, and in certain instances, the most stupid when it comes to allowing other people to do things that is considered not acceptable. If this was another group of people, another ethnicity of people would never allow black people to take part or to use a word that has been used against them that they decided to flip and to turn into something else. They would never allow black people to sit up there and do it. It don't matter how in you are. It don't even matter if you can speak the language. You would never be able to use it. And black people know it. But yet, black people just got to be different. And this is why the end result of a lot of these things is due to the fact that black people enabled and allowed other people to feel comfortable enough to perform certain actions, which is exactly what that white teen did in that school. But anyways, let me know what you guys think about that video, well, this video, and everything that I stated in the comment description below. And as always, peace, love, and stay tuned for the next video.